So I have a rule. If in doubt, kiss the girl. All right, today, people, we're doing a fireside chat. That means they don't need to look at the screen. There's going to be nothing on it, and we're going to jump right in talking about the PlayStation 5 Pro. In the last week or so, we've had a lot of rumors, what people will consider substantiated concrete rumors that have come out regarding the specifications of the PlayStation 5 Pro, what it's supposed to kind of have under the hood. You guys know, if you come to my channel before, that I don't believe any insiders. These are people that are praised for all of the things that they get right, and yet they are excused for all the things that they get wrong. So on balance, I typically am super untrustful of them. Now, all that being said, in order to have the conversation, let's just have the specs as they have been put out there. Like I said, I'm not going to have anything on screen. Actually, maybe I'll have these on screen. But if you guys have seen them before, you certainly don't need to see them. So let me see over here. I think if I switch here, we should be good. So we can see here, Zubitech, thank you. He's the person on Twitter that kind of collages all of this information all the time. And we see here a bunch of science fiction. That's really what this is, because none of this is interesting to the actual gamer. Okay, so we see there whether it is the CPU clock speed, the memory bandwidth, the amount of teraflops. Oh, people, listen, PlayStation gamers, did you learn nothing from the Xbox gamers? Did you truly learn nothing? I need you to be better than the people you're supposed to, I don't know, pose yourself as better than. Please stop with the teraflop count. Stop in every single type of way. Don't mention it. Don't brag about it. Don't measure it. Don't try to pit something else against it. It doesn't work that way. And a single specification does not tell you the whole thing about the entire system. Please let that go. And even if you say, okay, the PlayStation 5 has 9 teraflops, 9.8, whatever, and the PlayStation 5 Pro has 33 teraflops, it's not going to be a multiplication factor as to the better performance that you can expect. Most likely not, okay? So let's just let it go, okay? These numbers, okay, all of this science fiction that you see in front of you, all of that is to be understood by people, maybe 1% of the population, that are actually close to knowing what the architecture of the console is. Not the digital foundries of the world, not me, most likely not you. I don't mean that as an insult, but let's just let this teraflop count go. And please stop comparing it to PC. You don't compare it to a graphics card. Stop saying that this will be like a 4070 or a 4080 or the 4090, or even a 4060. PC is its own thing. It works according to its own rules. You are comparing an entire system to a single part. It doesn't make any sense. It will be like comparing an entire house or an entire apartment that somebody has to like a faucet in somebody else's house. Even if the faucet costs the same as the house, it doesn't mean that you can compare the two. Okay? That's 100% true. Just let that go. Then over here, we see more rendering, 2 times ray tracing, science fiction. Like, for example, tell me, what is this Tempest 3D 35% more audio than the base PS5? Like, will I hear 35% more sounds? Will I hear 35% more reverberations? Will I even know, even if I did hear it? None of this makes any sense to us. So let's let go of the specs. That's why I didn't even want to have them on screen. But if we're going to talk about this, I don't want to talk about what PlayStation 5 Pro is supposed to have or is rumored to have. I want to talk about the conversation around the PlayStation 5 Pro, because that has been far more interesting. Because as you're a part of this community, I think the community reaction is really where 89% of the entertainment is found. Because I created a tweet on the Twitters the other day, thinking to myself and speaking about the fact that we have a strange amount of hate for the PlayStation 5 Pro. Just like the notion of it, the idea of it. Is it necessary? No. Do we need it? No, absolutely not. Of course you don't need it. It's a luxury product in a luxury space in any case. It's a bit like, I like bicycles, right? Cool. You want to get yourself a nice road bike? $1,000 will do the job. You want to get something nicer? $2,000, $3,000 will do that job. But now you want to get something truly bougie, well, $10,000 and up, they will make bicycles available to you for that price. This is the same thing with the PlayStation 5 Pro. You are now speaking in a luxury space already. You could have got the PlayStation 4 or the PlayStation 4 Pro. Now you're at the PlayStation 5, and now you want to go extra hard on PlayStation 5 Pro. But you understand why there is that part of the market that is interested in that. Some people do want the highest end luxurious car, or the highest end luxurious bicycle, or the highest end luxurious sound system. Some people will buy $1 million speakers. All of that being said, some people will buy what they believe is a luxury product in the console space. I know that PC players are gonna go because they always have to insert themselves where they don't belong. Oh, you could build a PC for this. Oh, you get more on PC, you get more on that. Yes, we all understand what PC is, and yes, we are all uninterested. So, moving forward then, what we have now is a part where, or a moment where, people are giving a lot of hate on the PlayStation 5 Pro for what I think are truly weird reasons. I don't understand. When it comes to a PlayStation Portal, you could fully understand the hatred for the Portal. 100%. It was a dumb product that appeals only to a niche audience. Now, for that niche audience, for those people who fit that particular demographic, those particular circumstances, that product is brilliant. I mean, it is made for them. Of course, they think it's brilliant because it addresses their needs. But for 95% of us who are, PlayStation gamers, it does nothing for us. In fact, the PlayStation Portal seems to be a detractor for many PlayStation gamers that are not part of the niche to which it is addressed. Fair enough. Understandable. I understand the hate. Now, PlayStation 5 Pro, on the other hand, makes perfect sense. There's an iPhone 15 and there's an iPhone 15 Pro Max. We all understand that the majority of customers will go to the iPhone 15 base model. But we do not deride the existence of the iPhone 15 Pro Max. We don't make fun of it, we don't tease it, and we don't limit its potential cost. We all understand that it will be a substantial cost higher than the base model because it's supposed to give you something of value that is higher. Okay, cool. The thing I don't like about this moment that we're in is that people are pretending somehow that these laws of like market dynamics do not apply to gaming. Because people like Paris are saying that they want, or they would wish that this console came in at $499. The problem is that $499 is the price of the base PS5 now. Nobody has ever said that they wanted the iPhone, or they wished the iPhone Pro Max will come at a price point that is the same as the price of the base version. Like, that just doesn't happen. And yes, you could say that, of course, it's nice to wish that. It's nice to wish that the item will come, much cheaper than we imagine they would. Sure, but then at that point, why don't you just go all the way and say, I just wish that Sony would, put the PlayStation 5 Pro at $200. Like, again, it's not a charity, guys. They're not doing this out of the goodness of their heart. They are doing this to get more money from you. And if they're creating a specialized console for a niche audience, they're going to want more money from you than they want from the general audience, because the general audience has the numbers on their side. There will probably be, after this gen is done in 2028, 2029, maybe even 2030, right? Let's say, just for the argument's sake, there will probably be 100 million PlayStation 5 base models sold. And there'll probably be another 25 million PlayStation 5 Pro models sold. That means there's 100 million people supporting this camp and giving them the margins that they require and the things to make businesses for them. And there's only 25 million people here. Guess what? You're going to be charged more because they want this to kind of balance out. Or they even want to charge you so much more that you actually make up for whatever deficiencies they have here. A bit like in an airplane. In an airplane, you have the economy seats, you have business class, and then you have first class, right? That's very quick breakdown. If you're flying, transatlantic, like let's say you're going from Australia to France, okay? Just give you some quick numbers, okay? Economy class might cost you $3,000 return ticket. Very nice airline. This is talking about like the Qatar Airways or whatever, right? Really nice airline, busy time of the year. $3,000 economy class. Same plane, same time of departure and arrival. A few more perks. You move on to business class, and that will cost you $10,000. Okay, no problem. Now, again, same plane, same everything, a few more amenities, a few more perks. They move you maybe 20 meters forward in the plane, and now they are charging you easily $24,000 to $25,000. So you go from 3,000 to 10,000 to 24,000, and that's a very typical kind of curve that you have for what is essentially the same tier of experience, the same flight, the actual service of moving you from one location in the world to another location in the world is the same across all three tiers. And yet, the amenities that they offer you during that flight means that they feel they provide enough value, and many people agree to pay that upcharge. And suddenly you find that the cost of a seat in economy is 8 times cheaper than the cost of seats in first class. Nobody would ever go to Qatar Airways and say, so for that flight on that day, under those conditions, what if you just made the price of first class 3,500? No one's going to do that because it would be stupid to do that. And the reason that a lot of these airplanes charge such an upcharge to the first class customers is because most of their money is made in first class. Believe it or not, economy class typically represents only like 20 or 30% of the profit, and it's the business class and the first class seats that actually make them money. So same thing with you. If you're looking at the PlayStation 5 Pro, I just want you to be honest with like how business works here. You will probably be charged a fair amount of change and pay for a lot of margins that if there's any deficiency in the PlayStation 5 base kind of like console price and everything, you're going to kind of eat a little bit. You're gonna bear some of that weight because you are the luxury customer. So that's just how life works. That's the pricing. Please stop with the dumb conversations that steer us away from reality. This thing will most likely not come at $499, and I just find that it is irresponsible to even suggest, especially if you're a person that's supposed to have been in the industry. Kind of think about this a little bit, because guess what? This isn't aimed at the normal average consumer. It's not. It's a luxury product. First class is not aimed at me. It isn't. Business class is not aimed at me. Economy class is what is aimed towards me, and every single flight that I've ever taken has flown in economy. When things get a little bit better, one day maybe I might move up to business class, and that will be a win. But I don't think I will ever be a first class customer. For me, the jump from economy to business makes a lot of sense theoretically. The jump from business to first class doesn't make as much sense to me personally. That does not mean that I go to the airline and I say, oh, charge me less. That means I go to the airline and I say, oh, I'm not that customer. Give me a value proposition that makes more sense for me. That's it. That's all. For the majority of the casual market, the average market, the gamer, everyday mom and pop, whatever, those are going to be the PlayStation 5, 100%. For the people that are willing to put a little bit more financial weight behind their claim, and they are attracted to the value proposition that Sony will have to come with and justify themselves, because it's their job, it's not my job, it's their job, then it will make sense for them to pay a little bit more than $499. And I think that the price is going to be something with a 7 in front of it. I think you're going to see, if it's not $699, there's going to be $749 or something like that. And yes, get used to that. And the reason that I think that is going to be the case is because, again, take a look at the iPhone 15, $800. iPhone 15 Pro Max, $1,200. What is the multiplicator factor there? 1.5 times. So the way that I come up with 700 to 750 is I take the price of the base PlayStation 5. Now, that's the model with the With the disc, that's $500. Multiplied by 1.5, $750. Now, let's say that they take the model without the disc, because I think that's what they're going to do. They're going to create an all-digital PlayStation 5 Pro that you can take that little disc tray thing that they created already for the slim model, where you're just going to be able to attach that. So then the price, let's just say it goes down to 400. Okay, we're just going to say 400 because that's what it came out as. Multiply that by 1.5, that's $600. That makes a lot more sense to me than that, but I still think that that will not give them $100 difference between the PlayStation 5 console with the disc to the PlayStation 5 Pro. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I really think you're looking $650, $700, $750. That's where I will put my claim. And if I'm wrong about it and it's cheaper, fantastic for all of us. If it's a bit more expensive, I won't be surprised either. That's the price point. Now, the reaction from the community, like I said, it's been weird. It's been strange. PC gamers come in here and they talk and they want to tell us about how their cars and their houses and their wives and their 4090s. Sure, if you have all of these things going for you, you don't need to be a part of the conversation. This is called the console war. This is called console gaming. You're not a console. You are a completely different world. Like, go talk to your friends about your RAM speeds or whatever else sad little thing that you guys do. Like, go synchronize your lights or something. Like, go use MSI Afterburner and look at your frames and go brag about that to your own friends. Like, why are you coming in our spaces? So please just stay away. But then the Xbox gamers and my Xbox brethren at the moment, they're in a bad place. It's not just the fact that the PlayStation 5 Pro is coming, and reportedly, if you believe any of these reporters, which, they're not as bad as insiders, but they're almost as bad. Sometimes they're even worse than insiders. But if you believe these reporters, then Xbox will not be creating a Pro console. That makes sense to me, because you already have two consoles on the market. You have the Xbox Series S, which is the more popular one, and you have the Xbox Series X, which in and of itself is kind of a mid-gen console refresh anyway. It just kind of happened at the beginning. But yeah, it kind of does that. Now, let's say they created a Series Z, and this was supposed to be the Xbox Series X beefed up again one more time. Now you have three consoles on the market, one of which is selling the best for Xbox, but not selling great compared to the competitor. One of which is already the upgrade to that one in the X, which is not selling well at all, especially not compared to the competition. And then you have the Series Z, which would appeal to a niche of a niche, and that's the issue. I don't think that Microsoft is that committed to hardware. I don't think that they're trying to win this console well. I don't think they're trying to sell as many consoles as Sony. I don't think they care about the power narrative anymore. I just don't think that they are committed. I could be wrong about this. And in fact, I hope I am. I truly wish that we would see Xbox go toe-to-toe with PlayStation on a Pro console. I do. That would be my preference. And I hope that even the Xbox will be the more powerful box. I would hope that their market differentiation will not be Game Pass, but will go back to being, we have the most powerful console. I think an Xbox One X kind of vibe, where it is so much more powerful than the PlayStation 4 Pro, is exactly what we will need to have a shot in the arm to boost up Xbox, not for this generation, because for this generation it is too late, but for next generation. Because if they could swing that momentum into the next generation and be like, we gave you the most powerful box during this generation, and therefore we're going to continue that tradition as we transition. That's why I struggle with that. That tradition as we transition into the new generation, then I think that will give people something to really grab onto and really hold on to. So unfortunately, I do not see that happening. So to my Xbox brethren, actually, it's been very lucky. Like, some of them are still kind of delusional, of course. Yes, we get it. Some of them think that we do not need a Xbox Series Pro or whatever, which I agree. Like I said, I understand the business reason why you wouldn't. And I also understand that if you're already not saying the Series X, then maybe just not that many people are interested in a more powerful Xbox. So some people are on that vibe, and then some people are just defeated. They're just accepting that Sony is just going to come in, and if this console is true, they are literally just gonna run away with the trophy and the trophy wives. Like, that's what it is. And if it is true, probably yeah. So I apologize to my Xbox brethren. I just want to say that to you Xbox fans, if the PlayStation 5 Pro is real, and especially if it is a substantial performance jump over the base PS5 at a tolerable price point, things will only get worse. Things will only get worse for Xbox. Not for this generation. This generation is already like complete domination from PlayStation. But it will only get worse for next generation. Like, if the PlayStation 5 Pro comes out and is a revelation, a bombshell, a truly compelling product, you are going to bleed whatever Xbox fans who are left remaining, and you are going to set up a reality where PlayStation is just the dominant platform going into the future. So, for your sake, I hope that Microsoft retaliates, because it's not up to PlayStation to fail for Xbox to succeed. It is up to Microsoft to succeed for Xbox to succeed. And I hope that the people at Redmond can see the danger that they are in as far as the console plans are going forward. And since they are going to make a new console, according to Sarah Bond, I hope that they can say that, no, it actually behooves us to keep fighting on this battleground so that we don't start the next generation already having lost that war as well. But only time will tell. Now, another topic I want to talk about, just switching gear very quickly, is going to be Helldivers 2. Now, I still haven't played the game, so I'm not giving any game impressions. And the reason I haven't played it is because I still think it is ridiculous that PlayStation gamers are asked to pay for PlayStation Plus for that game when PC gamers, which do not support PlayStation in that same way, get it for free with online. I get it. I still don't like it. Will I eventually buy the game? Yes, I probably will. In fact, I'm almost definitively sure that I will, because this game is just doing something that, to be honest, is lightning in a bottle. It's a flash, right? It's a flash in the pan. But everything I've seen from this game looks fantastic. I was looking at some of the gameplay from Helldivers 2. And I was looking at the biomes or the planets that they have. And I was thinking to myself, why don't Starfield planets look this good? Like, think about it. Helldivers, I haven't looked at the galactic map, but I think it has a few dozen planets. Why didn't Starfield have that? Why didn't Starfield have something that looks that good? This is not a Naughty Dog. This is not a Santa Monica. This is not a Rockstar. This is a 100-man studio somewhere in Switzerland or Norway or whomever. And I'm sure they use procedural generation. And they've got these planets that are in space that you can visit through a map. Of course, you don't fly planet to planet, but Starfield didn't have that. So why doesn't Starfield look that good? They could have just created a few dozen planets, hand polished them a bit, tweaked the procedural generation a tad so that, it's a little bit less repetitive, sure. And then that would have been it. And it would have been a much more joyous experience just from the environment and the beauty of it. I could not believe how beautiful Helldivers 2 looked. Granted, I was looking at PC gameplay, So I'm sure that that particular streamer had it on ultra settings and everything that he could possibly throw at it. But just from an art style and a visual perspective, looking at all of the different planets and the range and the variety and the iron storms and everything else, I'm just like, wow, what a beautiful looking game. And, allow me to take a moment to truly appreciate just how beautiful it looks. A lot of gamers nowadays, I think they like to take the erudite, elevated position, the exalted, way of thinking that, oh, I don't need games to look good. Who cares about graphics? No, all I care about is the gameplay. Why? Why do you only care about the gameplay? Because when I read a book, I care about the cover, I care about how the materials feel, I care about the page. I want a book that I hold in my hand to have a beautiful cover. Yeah, don't judge a book by its cover, but I still want it to be a beautiful cover. I want to have beautiful font. I want it to be a beautiful typeface. I want the spacing of the letters to be right. I want the typos to be gone. I want the material that I'm pulling back and turning to feel premium. There's a reason that, there's this, kind of like hardcover books and everything, those exist, and those are the ones that I'm most attracted to because they feel good in hand. And that's just a book. With a game, I want a beautiful game. I do. I want a beautiful game. I've been playing Scarlet Nexus. Beautiful game. Very different art style. It is not a Horizon Forbidden West. It is one of the furthest things from it, in fact. And yet the art style, the graphics, they're standing there. It's a beautiful game at the end of the day. It's not as beautiful. It's not beautiful in the same way. It's not necessarily the most attractive thing. I'm never going to say, hey, PlayStation Studios, create a game that looks like Scarlet Nexus. Fuck no. Never, never would I say that. But still, beautiful game. When I look at Helldivers 2, Returnal, these are teams that are smaller in size and scope, and they were able to create these beautiful worlds for us to explore. Why didn't Starfield have that beauty? That needs to be fixed. On the Xbox side, and yes, I'm talking about Xbox because they are part of the console race. They really are. And also, they are a major first party holder. So, guess what? If we had all three of the titans of our little corner of the industry here, in the console gaming space, all firing on all cylinders, all giving us beautiful products, it would force the third party industry, which represents the vast majority of again our little corner, to create more beautiful things. When I look at games like Rise of the Ronin, I'm personally disappointed in it. I'm not saying that you have to be, but there are parts, especially during the town, where I see PS3 level graphics. I refuse what anybody else is trying to say and gaslight me that, oh, it looks better than this. No, at parts it does. There's parts where it upgrades to the PS4. But there's definitely parts where it feels extremely retrograde. And that is Rise of the Ronin. I want better than that. Helldivers 2 looks fantastic. But speaking beyond the graphics, the gameplay is fantastic. Even I can tell just from watching even the original trailer, let alone some of the things that I've seen on Twitter, some of the clips, some of the fun that people have been having. It's been a great time for that community. What I wanted to talk about specifically was this live service push from Sony. And you guys can help me with this because I didn't research it. But is it just me, or has Sony, all of their live service games that they've released in recent memory, have actually done well? And what I mean by that is, you take a look at Gran Turismo 7. That's doing fantastic, by the way. I still play Gran Turismo. I haven't played it in a while, but I still keep up with it and what is going on in that scene. And it's a gorgeous game. It's a great live service game. The microtransactions are expensive, and I'm not a fan of that. However, by playing the game naturally, you do not feel like you are too constrained, too prevented from earning credits and everything. You can definitely have your fun in there without paying any extra money on top of your purchase price. And it's got a vibrant community, and they get updates all the time that are free. That is what I think is a true successful live service game. Then you have MLB The Show. I can't speak on it because it's baseball, and that's an American thing. I don't care, but it comes out every year, and people seem to not hate it. So I guess that's a successful live service game? Question mark. Up for you to answer. And then you have Helldivers 2, which is again is a Sony first party published game. Well, again, sorry, I guess it's a second party studio, but Sony owns the IP, so it kind of blurs the line between that. So as long as you give me that grace, we can call it first party. So it's a first party game, and that has clearly been doing amazing. The reports right now, the rumors are that they sold over 8 million copies, which would be tremendous because it's only been on the market for like a month or so, like maybe 6 weeks. It's only come out recently. To have sold 8 million copies, granted across PC and PlayStation, still would be a huge achievement, for a live service game, especially one that is not free to play. Now, a lot of people might point out to things such as Destruction All Stars. They might point out to things such as Foam Stars and everything like that. But I think with every one of those other cases, even though Sony partnered with them for marketing and everything, I don't think that they are second party relationships in the same way. Foam Stars is a third party game through and through. That's from Square Enix. That was complete garbage. No, not Death. Destruction All Stars was also from a third party. I'm pretty sure that's a third party IP. And that one was also complete garbage. So we'll just ignore it. And of course, there is the big miss with The Last of Us multiplayer, right? But the thing with The Last of Us multiplayer is that thankfully they did not release it. So for me, it is a failure, but it isn't garbage because you never put it out. So out of all the ones that I can think of from Sony, I think that they actually have a tremendous success. We have to see how Fair Games is going. We have to see how Concord is doing. And I think that those games might fail, of course, but so far, so good, which is weird. I expected it to have a lot more fails by now. I expected a lot more foam stars from Sony themselves by now. So it's weird that so far they're doing so well. Of course, it's not without, you can't just be like, oh, A plus, you did great. No, 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 no. They canceled, what was going to be the follow-up to factions. They get a knockdown for that. But I would say that the grade in live service is maybe a C. And even if you rate it as a C, like a 60, 6 out of 10, um, it's still way better than what I thought it was going to be. And yeah, that's interesting because imagine this. Imagine if this generation, PlayStation has one or two more Helldivers 2, like to add to the GT Gran Turismo 7s, to add to MLB The Show. And then they have 5 live service games that have thriving communities, and maybe they have players that are maybe 10 million copies sold across PlayStation 5 and PC. Maybe they have concurrent daily users of, 300,000 per game. You could have a world where Sony has mastered their single player, third person narrative storytelling adventure game, action adventure game, and as well mastered their live service games, or at least a niche of the live service platform. That's a very dangerous player. And I think it's so exciting to see that some of these bets are starting to pay off. Now, again, I do not give Sony like an amazing credit for it. I don't think they're an 8 out of 10 when it comes to live service or multiplayer games. No, I think that is 6. But you know where I expected them to be? I expected to be at a 3. I expected the first 2 or 3 projects from them to fail completely and to just fall flat on their face. I even have a video on my channel saying that PlayStation fans are too afraid of failure because I fully expected that they would fail in a much more public way. Again, Naughty Dog, that was an internal failure, right? It became public because, of course, they promised something and they never should have. This is why I don't like it when people show me their roadmap too early. But that is 6 out of 10 for me right now. And I think by the end of the generation, they could go up to a 7 or an 8. A PlayStation that is great at both single player and live service games or multiplayer games, that's a dangerous proposition for anybody else that's going to compete against them. And I just hope that Xbox, as the primary competitor, again in our little space, can make games that are going to rival this new batch of the PlayStation house. Because if PlayStation cannot be allowed to come in and be better at multiplayer games than Xbox is, because that is whatever shred of identity Xbox may have left, that is their legacy. They were the multiplayer box, right? Through so many initiatives, whether that was Xbox Live, whether that was Halo and Gears and Forza and everything else that they were able to put forward, all the exclusives that they had, whether it was Killer Instinct, or any of the other great, amazing exclusives that we're able to get, they cemented themselves for a time. And, gamers, we are very traditional. We are, very retro minded. I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just that we harken back. We are very nostalgic for bygone eras. And so we still remember Xbox as the multiplayer box. And I'm talking from a person that never played an Xbox, right? I'm not never been an Xbox customer myself directly. Of course, I've played Xbox because I've been to friends' places and everything. But even I knew that that's where multiplayer experiences were found, right? But now imagine if Xbox loses that crown as well to PlayStation. That cannot be allowed to happen. And I'm sorry, but Call of Duty isn't going to help because Call of Duty is not, never going to be associated with Xbox. It's never going to have that brand identity. People can say that they are the owners of Call of Duty, of course, sure, and it'll be definitely part of the discourse and the discussion as we get new Call of Duties that come through. But at the end of the day, that strong brand identity that Halo and Xbox enjoy, that Gears and Xbox enjoy, Forza and Xbox, all of that will never be as close a tie for Call of Duty because they bought it, 20 plus years after Call of Duty was already on the scene. So that's just not going to happen. So I hope that Xbox has, a few rounds in that pistol, and they are also able to create these truly amazing multiplayer experiences because Helldivers 2 shows us that you don't need the biggest budget or the biggest this or the biggest that. You can just have a great idea, really commit to it, realize it in an honest way, and just pull it out there for the people to enjoy, and they will enjoy it. So I hope that Xbox steps up in that place and they do not lose that crown. Okay, so that was pretty much everything that I wanted to say. There's been a few other ancillary reports, that we've received throughout the throughout the weeks and everything. Let me see if there's anything else that I want to touch on. I'm just going to see some of the creators online to see if they've put something that was interesting to talk about. But if you guys haven't yet, please go to the What's Up PlayStation podcast. And in that podcast, hosted by Jay Barry and Persona, you are going to see them speak to Shawn Layden. I thought about doing a reaction to that particular interview because it is so amazing. However, I want to draw as much light to the original video and to the original channel and to the original conversation. Sometimes things get lost in translation. You take an information, you think about it, you have your little processing happening, and then when you output it, it comes out as something that is slightly different or entirely different from what was originally said. So please go and watch the interview with Shawn Layden. They approach so many topics, obviously mostly focused on PlayStation. And I think it's just such a fascinating conversation. And the boys did an amazing job, super professional. And I love the energy, Shout out to Persona and Jay Bowie. They truly did, I think, something that we actually want to see more of in the community. Go and talk to the people with the voices, the experience that actually gives us a great insight into the industry. Because we have such a new industry that we don't really have that yet. You know, how many Shawn Laydens are there out there that are talking to gamers about deep business and gaming and industry conversations in an honest way? How many times do we get that? If we get something from a Phil Spencer, he's still in the job, so there's a limited amount of things that he can say. Everything that he can say is, of course, market research approved. It is PR approved. So we're not getting that, and I'm not expecting Phil Spencer to do that, by the way. At least not while he's still, holding on to the seniorship, the leadership of Xbox. He's got things to protect. No problem. I don't expect that from a Jim Ryan, for example, because Jim Ryan is still in the job, right? But when Jim Ryan leaves, maybe 2 or 3 years from now, maybe he can pop up to What's Up PlayStation podcast and give us his insights and tell us what it was like. But yeah, we saw this nascent industry, and what the boys, Jeba and Persona are doing there is exactly what we need. I would love for them to interview a Mark Cerny. I would love for them to interview some of the heads of PlayStation marketing so that we can understand how do certain games start marketing? How much does it cost? What percentage of the budget? How does Sony think about that? Do they increase marketing at some point if they realize that they have something good on their hands? Do they reduce it? Is it dynamic, or do they have to make guesses and everything like that? And honestly, I think that the boys, again, What's Up PlayStation Podcast, Jabari and Persona, I think they will be the ones to bring us this kind of conversation, because it is great that we have conversations between ourselves, but we truly need people to go out there and reach out there and be here for the gamers, right? Like, you take a look at certain shows, like a Kind of Funny Games, and they have their vibe, they have their thing, they also provide good content. And I think when it comes to like a per game level with the spoiler casts and some of the things that they do, they can give you great insights, because they will talk to the voice actors, they'll talk to the directors, they will talk to some of the developers that are working on those games, but they are not necessarily chasing down people to have like the background, big business industry kind of look. And so that is a unique advantage that Jabba and Persona have. And that is something that I highly encourage all of us to support. So definitely go that out. Definitely wanted to mention that. Aside from that, I don't think that there's too many other things that came out. I think there's a few ancillary things, like I said. For example, there's a report by Bloomberg that PlayStation VR 2 production stopped. It's not that I don't believe him, but it's that that Takahaki guy that created the report, he has a spotted track record, and basically his opinions and his reports are worthless until they're corroborated by other people that are, like a Jason Schreier or somebody with actual credibility. So there is that. You have lots of fanboys on either side saying silly things, especially with the PlayStation 5 Pro. Like I said, guys, at the start of the show, PlayStation gamers, stop comparing it to PC. PC gamers, stop involving yourselves in our conversations. And Xbox gamers, speak to Microsoft, please, and tell them that you need them to fight this fight to the bitter end. Because if you guys think this generation is bad, left unchecked, next generation is going to be a bloodbath. Like, it will not even be close. You need Microsoft to once again value the console, to be able to put big bets behind it. And those big bets have to also include the games, because I actually think that Series X as a piece of hardware is fantastic and is phenomenal. But what games have we seen to bring out that sentiment in us? Nothing from first party. Okay. So in any case, that will be it. I will let you guys be. Thank you so much for joining me for this little chat that we have. And yeah, y'all have a great day.